At the end of every year, Social Security and Medicare announce the financial changes that are going to go into effect the coming year. And so in this video, we're going to examine all those changes and specifically look at the tax consequences that you and I are going to see in 2024. All right, so let's begin by talking about the taxes that we actually have to pay into the Social Security system. Now, I'm calling this taxes for Social Security income. So that just simply means that one day when you decide it's time to take your Social Security benefits, you're going to draw an income from the Social Security system. But that's only dependent upon, of course, that you have paid into the system. We have to pay in on average at least 10 years into Social Security tax system to be able to draw benefits one day. Okay, so right now we fall under one of two actually legislative acts. One is called FICA, which stands for the Federal Insurance Contributions Act. The other one is Self-Employment Contribution Act. This is for those that are, of course, self-employed. So we're paying taxes on income for Social Security purposes. So right now the rate is 12.40%. Now, if you work for someone, your FICA taxes would be this. You're paying 6.20 and your employer is matching that. If you're self-employed, again, you're paying the full amount. Now, the good news is there is a limit on the income that we make that is actually subject to Social Security taxes. That would be the cap. And so right now, as I prepare for 2024, that number is $168,600. Now, I'm actually shooting this video November 22nd, one day before Thanksgiving. This year's limit was $160,200. And so they raised that up going into 2024. So the whole point is if my income is below this amount, I'm self-employed, I pay that. If I work for someone, I'm paying that. But if it's going to be above that, then all the income above that number, as it sits today, there's some legislation, we're trying to adjust this, but as it sits today, you would have to pay no Social Security taxes on anything above the $168,600. All right, that brings us then to our second item I want to discuss in this video, and that is, notice here, taxes on Social Security income. So not only is Social Security a taxable system, we pay into the system, but once we start drawing that income out, whether that's retirement benefits or spousal benefits, survivor benefits, or even disability benefits, that can be subject to income taxes from a federal standpoint. Now, there are some states that don't charge any income taxes for Social Security benefits. Some do, some don't. But federal, it is all subject to income taxes. Okay, and I'm going to show you the formula that we actually follow to determine how much a person has to pay. All right, and so this formula for determining, again, taxes on your Social Security income is called provisional income. Provisional income, right? And so the way you determine your provisional income is this. You take your adjusted gross income, which is typically line 11 on your 1040, and you add back in what is called a tax exempt interest. And this is actually line 2A. And those two numbers together, we take that, and then we add that to, we take 50% of your Social Security benefits. So you're receiving Social Security. The point is how much of that income is going to be taxable. So in order to determine this formula, we add these items together, and this total, whatever that is, remember, it's only 50%, not all your benefits, but if you're receiving $24,000 a year, this would be $12,000 plus AGI plus tax exempt interest if you have that. And then that number is put to a formula. And so what we have is we have a single filers, and then we have a married that file a joint return. And so a single filer that has a provisional income, so we'll put up here PI, provisional income that is $25,000 or less, zero of their Social Security income is going to be subject to taxes. And then what we have is anything between $25,000 and $34,000 provisional income, 50% of their total Social Security income would then be reported as income, therefore taxable. And anything above $34,000 for that single person, 85% of their Social Security benefits would be reported as income taxable, and therefore 15% is not. Now, when it comes to a married couple filing a joint return, that number is going to be $32,000 or less. Then zero of their Social Security income is going to be taxable. the top number here for them is $44,000. So anything between 32 and 44, 50% of their Social Security income is going to be subject to income taxes. If we get above that, then again, they're going to have 85%. So again, no one's going to have to pay taxes on 100% of their Social Security income, but they could pay as much as 85. All right. So this is the provisional income to determine what our taxes will be. Now, keep in mind, if you do owe some taxes here, you can actually pay quarterly estimates, or you actually can fill a form out and give it to the local Social Security office, and they actually can take some tax portion out of your Social Security benefits. I think the options are like 10, 12, 20%, but you can actually notify them so they can draw that out regularly, or again, pay quarterly estimates. That way, you don't get some kind of a large surprise tax bill at the end of the year. Hey, if you found this video helpful and if you want to see more Medicare information just like it, then go below, right below the video, and you can give us a thumbs up as well as subscribe to our channel. And every time I put a new video, which is about 2 every week, you'll be notified of that video, and others just like you who need this vital information will get it as well. All right, so that's the tax consequences for Social Security. Let's talk about Medicare benefits. And again, we're going to talk about the same thing, taxes for Medicare benefits. So meaning one day when we are eligible for Medicare at 65 or above, if you work longer or if you go on disability. Either way, if we're going to draw our Medicare benefits, we have to pay into that tax system. And again, what we have to have is we have to have 40 quarters paid in. Now, just so you know, there are some people that don't have 40 quarters, so what we try to do then is we try to see if we can get those 40 quarters off of someone else's work record, which would be a present spouse or would be an ex-spouse. Okay, but in other words, if we're going to get those benefits, somebody's had to pay into that system for 40 quarters. And so either it's your own work record or someone else's. And also what happens, sometimes we'll have people that don't have 40 quarters, but they're very close. I mean, people like this all the time. Let's say someone has 36 quarters, and so that means they're 4 shy. Now, we cannot get any more than 4 quarters in the year, but I do not have to work the whole year to get my 4 quarters. And so because the quarter is actually tied to a dollar amount, and these numbers change every year. So in 2024, a quarter for a Medicare benefit is $1,730. And if I have net self-employment income of that much or W-2 income, I just got a quarter. Now remember, I can't get any more than 4 in a year, but I don't have to work the whole year, because what I can do here, I can make $6,920 sometime in 2024, whether that takes you 1 month or 2 months or 10 months, doesn't matter. Once I have that kind of reportable income, then I now have my 4 quarters. So when someone, if they have 36 and we're trying to get to 40, instead of them having to buy their Medicare A, they actually can just go back to work and get that, so they can get premium-free Medicare A for the rest of their life. All right? And so the whole point is we're going to pay taxes, but we have to pay at least 40 quarters in or from our spouse to be able to get those benefits. And so what are the taxes that we're paying? Well, right now, the tax rate on Medicare is 1.45% matched by the employer. If you're under FICA, if it's self-employment, then you'd pay the 2.90%. Now, what is different between this tax and the Social Security tax is Social Security tax actually has an income cap, an income limit, $168,600 next year. This never has a limit. In other words, we continue to pay Medicare taxes on our income. And that, in fact, this actually will go up if we reach a certain number. So an individual, again, filing a single return, for any modified adjusted gross income that is above $200,000, they're going to have to pay an additional 0.90%. So all the income above $200,000, they're actually paying 3.80%. Now, if they stay below $200,000, then it's just the 1.45 being matched, or their full 2.90. If it's a married couple that files a joint return, then this limit is $250,000. So if this couple in their joint return are paying above $250,000, then what's happening? They're going to be paying that total 3.8% on every income above the $250,000. So this is what we have to pay in taxes to be able to eventually one day get those benefits. And again, what are we trying to do? We're trying to accumulate at least 40 quarters to be able to draw Medicare. And then lastly, let's look at the taxes on Medicare benefits. Now, this may sound a little bit strange to call it a tax, but again, Medicare doesn't call it a tax, but it's as though it is a tax, because in order to have those Medicare benefits, we actually have to pay for them. And so, in my opinion, any kind of money that we're giving to the government for a benefit, that is to me a tax. So that's why I'm calling it that. But again, it's once we start getting Medicare benefits, we're going to have to pay for some of those benefits. Now here's the way this works. Medicare A, as long as we have those 40 quarters, there is no premium for that whatsoever. But Medicare B actually carries a premium. That premium in 2024 is $174.70. $174.70, and this is on a monthly basis. If you're receiving Social Security, that actually comes out of your Social Security check. If you're not, then you can set up some kind of an auto pay with the government, or you can actually get a quarterly bill, that amount times 3. And so once we go on Social Security, we have no choice. They are going to take that out of our Social Security check. So again, we have these premiums for Medicare B. But also what happens is people that are higher income, they actually have to pay an additional amount of money for their Medicare Part B. All right, and so let me kind of show you how this works. Every year this happens. So I'm shooting this video in, this is November 22nd, 2023, as I just said earlier, one day before Thanksgiving. And so the premium this year is actually $164.90. So it went up just not quite $10. And so anyone on Medicare this year in 2023, the premium that they have to pay is based upon their 2021 modified adjusted gross income. So as we move into 2024, at this particular number, what are they looking at? They're looking back at 2022. So here's my point. If I'm on Medicare in 2024, the government is actually looking back at 2022 modified adjusted gross income. Now, we saw that number earlier as it related to some Social Security calculations, but this is line 11. This is your AGI plus line 2A, tax-exempt interest. And these two together become my modified adjusted gross income. So if I'm on Medicare in 2024, they're looking at my modified adjusted gross income in 2022. And that number determines how much I pay for my Part B premium. So we have the schedule of Part B premiums. And so we have a single person that files an individual return. And then we have a married couple filing a joint return. So right now that number is $103,000. This is for 2024, okay? And if you're $103,000 below that number, then you would pay the $174.70. For a couple, it's $206,000 modified adjusted gross. So if I stay below that, I pay the $174.70. But if I'm going to be above that number, and either one of these numbers right here, then I'm going to pay an additional amount. And those additional amount, I'm saying, is a tax. And those are specifically called IRMAs. IRMAs. And that stands for income-related monthly adjustment amount. And so for anyone that's going to be above those thresholds is going to have to pay an additional amount for not only their Medicare Part B, but also for their Part D, their drug plan. All right, so I got a chart to show you, but I want to make sure you understand this is the calculation that will determine what kind of taxes we're going to pay on our Medicare B as well as our D. Let's look at that chart. Hey, if you come to a place where you know you're going to have to make some Medicare decisions pretty soon, the best way to do that is to click up here in this right-hand corner, and you'll have an opportunity to be able to book a call with one of our Medicare guides. All the guides around here I have personally trained, and they truly are professional. They'll answer your questions, and they'll show you different Medicare options to make sure that you're confident in the decision that you make. All right, so here's the chart for 2024. And again, income-related monthly adjustment amounts. And so, as we said earlier, a single person below $103,000, a couple below $206,000 would have no IRMA. Okay, they would just have to pay their Part B premium, which is $174.70 in 2024. But now you'll notice if my income's higher than that, now we have 5 different levels of income. Again, individual filer, married filing a joint return. So let's keep it real simple here. Let's just say we're talking about a married couple, file a joint return, and let's say their modified adjusted gross income is $275,000. They're going to have an additional tax, a surcharge called the IRMA of $174.70. And as the income goes up, you're going to notice this IRMA goes up as well. So let me show you how they calculate this. So let's go back, and we talked about these income levels here. And the government set the premium for 2024 at $174.70. Now, I'm going to just, for math purposes, make it simple. Let's just round that up to $175. Here's what that means. the government every year, this happens using the spring, the summer of the year, what they do is they project what they believe it's going to cost them to cover the average Medicare recipient the coming year. So this spring, this summer of 2023, they were projecting what they believed it's going to cost them to cover everyone on Medicare B in 2024. And they come up with that number, and it was this. It was $700. $700 on a monthly basis, on average, to cover someone on B. And so at this income level, what's happening is you are paying 25% of that number, and the government is paying the rest out of the Medicare budget, right? So what are you doing? You're paying 25%, and the government is paying 75%, okay? So really what I should do is this way. We'll call this your 25%, and the government over here is paying 75%. And again, it comes out of the Medicare budget. So that's how they're dealing with that $700 number based upon your income. So if I'm at this next level, as you can see here, above 103, up to 129, 206, up to 258, what's happening is now we have an IRMA. There's the tax, there's the surcharge. So at this income level, it's $69.90. So what's happening is, instead of here where you pay 25%, now you're paying 35%, and the government is paying 65%. And then each time as your income level goes up, their number goes down and yours goes up. So now our IRMA increases. Now you're paying 50%. They're paying 50. Here, you pay 65, they pay 35. Here, you pay 75, they pay 25. Here, you pay 85 and they pay 15. And so obviously, and when people have these IRMAs, as I tell people, hey, this is a great problem to have. Now, none of us like to pay additional taxes. I don't like to either. But what's happening is they're just saying, hey, you make more money. We're not willing to help you as much with that average of $700. So you're going to pay an additional amount called the IRMA. Now, not only will I pay more for my Medicare Part B, and by the way, these numbers are recalculated every year. I also pay more for my Part D plan. Let's just say that someone is at this income level below 103, 206 as a couple, and let's say they're on a drug plan that costs, let's just call it $11, okay? And that $11 premium would be all they would have to pay if their income levels are below that. But if their income levels are in these ranges here, back to my example, this person, this couple at $300,000, that same drug plan that costs $11, they have an additional IRMA of $33.30. So my point is this. We have IRMAs on the B and IRMA on the drug plan as well. So high income people is going to cost you more. So you get down to this level here, you can see someone that's really high income is paying what? An additional $500 a month just in surcharges, just in additional Medicare taxes. Now, this, as I said, is a good problem to have, but you also need to note that there are some times that people have this kind of income because they're still working. And then when they retire or semi-retire, it's very possible these numbers begin to go this direction. They make less money. And so what happens is the government does give you the opportunity, if you have a life-changing event, there's 8 possible life-changing events. The most common would be a life-changing event if someone died, if you went through a divorce, if you were married, if you have work stoppage, totally retired, work reduction, semi-retired. Those are the main 5. There's 3 other ones that are rarely used, but we have 5 options that I just mentioned, and all of those are appealable events that we can say, if this has happened to me in the last couple years, I can appeal these IRMAs. And so if the life-changing event has caused my income to change, meaning go down, then I can appeal it. And the form that we use to appeal it is called an SS-44. And just keep in mind, if you work with our company, we'll actually walk you through this entire process. Anything that needs to happen here with the IRMA appeal, we'll show you how to do that, and so that you'll be successful in appealing the IRMA. But I can do is I can appeal it. And so let's say I'm on Medicare in 2024, and they're looking at my 2022 numbers, which are up, but let's say I retired in 2023, or I'm going to retire in 2024. What can happen is I can tell them, stop looking back at 2022. I had a qualifying life-changing event. Here's the date, and here's my new numbers. I give them 23, I give them 24, and those are less. Then we can begin to remove the IRMA totally, or at least reduce it some. And you want to take the time to make sure you appeal those IRMAs to cut down on those taxes for B as well as D. All right, so that's what we have in store for 2024 and the tax consequences on Social Security and Medicare.